start.
Okay, students, welcome to the online class. The other day we have started a lesson from the civics part, that is forms of government and democracy. The forms of government we have completed and started about what is democracy, meaning of democracy, definition of democracy we have started, and salient features of democracy, evolution of democracy, up to I have completed forms of democratic government. In that I have marked two more questions. I think you might have studied the two more questions. Now we are going to see the rest of the lesson. Start from the types of democracy. Types of democracy. There are two types of democracy. We have mentioned two types of democracy, that is direct democracy and indirect democracy. Direct democracy and indirect democracy. Here given the example for direct democracy, ancient Greek city-states, Switzerland. These are the example for direct democracy. Then indirect or representative democracy. For that also given examples. The prevailing system of democracy in India, USA and UK. These are the countries for example for the indirect democracy or representative democracy. The first one, direct democracy. The direct democracy is possible only the smaller countries, smaller state we can say. Ancient Greek was very small. There the people directly took part in the government. That is direct democracy. People's participation directly in the government, that is direct democracy. Then the next one is the indirect or representative democracy. Example our country India also given. This representative form of democracy or indirect democracy possible the bigger countries. India is the biggest democratic country in the world. Like this, many democratic countries are there. The indirect democracy or representative democracy is there. People elect their representatives to form the government. That is indirect democracy or representative democracy. The next heading is given about merits and demerits of democracy. First, types of democracy we have completed. Next, merits and demerits of democracy. The democratic country, more merits and few demerits also there. Here mentioned about 7 merits and 4 demerits. Merits and demerits. Nanmaigal, Thimaigal. That is more merits. Here mentioned, first one, responsible and accountable government. Democratic government is accountable, responsible to the people, to the country. Equality and fraternity. The democratic form of government equally treats the people, makes among the people they make friendship, that is fraternity. Equality and fraternity is maintained in the democratic form of government. Sense of responsibility among common people. The democratic country, people have more responsibility. For the democratic form of government, people have more responsibility. Sense of responsibility among common people we can find in the democratic form of government. Local self-government. The next point is we can find the local self-government in democratic countries. Even our country, India, also the local self-government is there. Recently, the election was held to elect the representatives of the local self-government, village level administration, that is called local self-government. State level administration, that is state government, and central level there is one government, that is central government. So the power of the government is divided up to the lower level that we can find in the democratic form of government. Development and prosperity for all, that is overall development. Overall development, the democratic form of government, the government takes initiative for the overall development. Popular sovereignty, sovereignty and integrity. Iறையாண்மை, we can say that terminology is iறையாண்மை, that is sovereignty. From Kanyakumari to Kashmir, Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh, India is one. This is an integral part of our country, India. That is popular sovereignty, sense of cooperation and fraternal feeling. That is living together. We are all Indians, citizens of India. That feeling, that is fraternal feeling we have. We have to develop that fraternity feeling, the fraternal feeling. We are all Indian sense. We have to develop that sense. We are all Indian citizens of India. That is sense of cooperation and fraternal feeling. So all these points are merits, then demerits. Some demerits also mentioned here. Indirect or representative nature of democracy. The vast democratic country, people are not taking part directly, only the people's representative represented and form the government. So people are not taking part. That is one of the demerits of the democracy, like our country, India. Lack of interest in democratic process, and hence lower turnout in the election. Some people are not interested in this type of democracy. So at the time of election, some of the people are not interested to go for voting and all. That is low interest. The turnout in the election also low. Certain percentage of the people will not go for voting. That is lack of interest. Then instability in governance due to fractured mandate. Instability, we can find this instability in some states in India, and sometimes in the central government also. Sometimes instability will be there. Because of the instability, the government will fall. Midterm polls will take place. That is instability in governance due to the fractured mandate. Delay in decision-making process. Immediately they cannot take any decision. They have to do some process to get the decision. Immediately we won't get a decision. The government cannot take decision immediately. That is also one of the demerit of the democratic form of government, this type of democratic form of government. Then the next one is democracy in India. The next heading is democracy in India. The democracy, India is the parliamentary form of democracy. We have a parliament at the center, that is in New Delhi. People elect the representatives. The representatives take part in the proceedings of the parliament. Our parliament has two houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is the upper house, Lok Sabha is the lower house, Rajya Sabha is the upper house. Lok Sabha members are elected by the people. The Lok Sabha people representatives represented in the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha or upper house, the members are not directly elected by the people. They are nominated members. They are elected by the elected members of the state legislative assembly. State legislative assembly members elect the members of the Rajya Sabha. Our country, India works with the 5 basic principles: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. These are all the 5 basic principles of democracy in India. India is a sovereign country, that is sovereign. Socialist, our economy is the socialist form of economy. Here the private sector and the public sector works together in the socialist form. Then secular, our country is a secular country. Many religions are there in our country, India. Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Jainism, like this many religions are there, but all religions are treated as equal. It is mentioned in the constitution, the preamble of the constitution. That is secular. Democratic, there is a democratic country and a republic. People's representatives represented in the parliament, that is democratic republic. To rule our country, the rulers rule the country, we have the constitution, written constitution, the lengthiest constitution we have, that is republic country. Here there is no discrimination based on person's caste, creed, religion, gender or education. Gender or education, all treated as equal. All these members are elected through the adult franchise. That means to elect the representatives, age only criteria. Every citizen who attained the age of 18 eligible to cast the vote. That is adult franchise. That is adult franchise. Here one point is mentioned about the Parliament House, that is the Parliament House is located in New Delhi, that is built the year between the year 1921 to 1927. That the building was designed by British architects. 2 architects name mentioned here, that is Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker. These are the 2 British architects designed that building. That building built between the years 1921 and ended in 1927. Elections in India. The next heading is about elections in India. To conduct the free and fair elections, there is a separate wing in India that is called Election Commission. Election Commission. The responsibility of the Election Commission is conduct the free and fair election. Moreover, India has a quasi-federal government. India is not federal or a non-federal. It is a quasi-federal. Quasi-federal means arai-hurai kutachi. That is quasi-federal. Representatives are represented from all the 29 states in the parliament. From all the 29 states, the representatives are represented in the parliament, that is Lok Sabha, in the Lok Sabha. At the national level, the President of India appoints the Prime Minister. In the election, which party gets majority, that party leader will be appointed as a Prime Minister by the President of India. Prime Minister is appointed by the President of India. Then the next about the Rajya Sabha, members of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the upper house of the parliament, elected by the electoral college. Elected by the electoral college. Electoral college. That means elected members of the legislative assembly members. These members, the Rajya Sabha members are nominated. Indirectly elected, and 12 members are nominated by the President of India. 12 members are nominated by the President of India. Rest of the members are indirectly elected members to the Rajya Sabha. That is from the State Legislative Assembly. Elected members of the State Legislative Assembly elect their representatives to the Rajya Sabha. The elected, that is called the electoral college. That is electoral college consisting of elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states and union territories. States and union territories elected members elect the members of the Rajya Sabha. That is called electoral college. Then the next study is about first elections in democratic India. First election after the independence. First general election was held in the year 1951. Between 25th October 1951 and 21st February 1952, that was the first general election held after the independence. The first general election throughout India held. That first general election, Indian National Congress, now we say Congress, those days it was called Indian National Congress. That party won majority seats in India. That party leader, Jawaharlal Nehru, became the first Prime Minister of India. Even first election held during the period of British, that is in the year 1920, members are elected, legislative council and provincial councils, provinces, they were having the provinces. For the provinces, members are elected, mainly 3 provinces, Delhi, Kolkata, not Delhi, Madras, Bombay and Calcutta. These are the 3 main provinces. That election was held first time in the year 1920. They had councils. For the councils, members are elected. That is first general election were held in British India. Then the major challenges to the Indian democracy. The next study is the major challenges to the Indian democracy. India is a democratic country, vast democratic country in the world. Still, our democratic country facing some challenges. You can say savalgal, some challenges. Our country, India, is facing some challenges. That is illiteracy, poverty, gender discrimination, regionalism, casteism, corruption, criminalization, political violence. About 8 points given. Illiteracy means a person who doesn't know to read and write. Still, some of the states, the condition is existing. Poverty, people not able to get the basic needs, food, shelter and clothing. That condition also prevailing still in our country, India. Gender discrimination, male, female, inferiority, domination of male. That condition existing still our democratic country. Regionalism between the states, there is disputes. There are disputes between the state, regionalism, casteism, communalism and religious fundamentalism. Casteism, casteism, many abolished, but still existing some of the places in India. Corruption, one of the important challenge to our country, India, corruption. Then the next one is criminalization of politics. Among the politicians, no unity. Then political violence. Political violence. Political leaders are massacred. That is the political violence. These are all some of the challenges mentioned here in our democratic country. The next one is conditions for the success of democracy in India. That is the last point, conditions for the success of democracy in what we can do for the success of our democracy. Empowerment of the poor and illiterates to enjoy the goodness of democracy. We have to encourage the poor and illiterates to enjoy the goodness of democracy. Then, willingness among the elected people not to misuse the powerful. People who are in the power, they should not misuse the power. They try to help the others, poor people, downtrodden people. They have to work effectively for the betterment of the society. That is the willingness among the elected people not to misuse their power. Then eradication, the eradication of social evils and dangers from which democracy suffers. Eradication of social evils. From ancient period, many social evils existed. The reformers eradicated the social evils. Still, some of the evils are existing that must be tried to abolish, eradicate from this society. An impartial and efficient press to form public opinion. Impartiality. The press people should not see the partiality. That also helpful for the success of democracy. Presence of strong public opinion. Feeling of tolerance and communal harmony. Toleration. Political toleration, religious toleration, toleration in every field. Tolerate the other people. Then awareness among the people of the fundamental rights that are entitled to enjoy. Awareness among the people of fundamental rights. Many people did not know the rights which is mentioned in the Constitution. Even the fundamental rights. 6 fundamental rights mentioned in the Constitution, that is more helpful for the people to enjoy. But they did not have that awareness about that fundamental rights mentioned in the Constitution. They must have that awareness, conscious check, the vigilance on the working of the elected representatives. People must check the work of the elected representatives. They have to work for the betterment of the constituencies, the people of the particular constituency. They have to watch. Powerful and responsible opposition. To oppose the policies of the government, we must have the powerful and responsible opposition in the government. So these are all the conditions necessary for the success of democracy in India. So these are all the things mentioned in this chapter. Now we marked some of the questions. The other day I marked 2 short answers. Now we marked the third 2 mark. Distinguish between direct and indirect democracy. Distinguish between direct and indirect democracy. That is page number 240. under the heading types of democracy, under the heading types of democracy, there are two types, you can mark now, there are two types of democracies, direct democracy, indirect democracy. The example also given under the heading democracy heading, example is given, that to be marked. Example, ancient Greek, city-states, Switzerland, that to be marked. Next, indirect democracy heading, there the example is given, that example also to be marked. First example, prevailing system of democracy in India, USA and UK. That is the example for the indirect democracy or representative democracy. Okay, you have marked. You have marked. There are two types of democracy. The first just below the types of democracy, the 2 points. That and that example you have to mark. Then the one words. Choose the correct answer. Choose the correct answer. First one, a system of government in which one person resides supreme, usually king or queen, is called monarchy. Second one, system of government with absolute power, autocracy. You mark autocracy. First one you mark monarchy, B. Then third one, former Soviet Union is an example for oligarchy. Oligarchy you mark. Fourth one, select the odd one, USA. USA you have to mark. Then fifth one, Abraham Lincoln was the president of the USA. You have to mark USA, A option. Kudavoli system was followed by Cholas. Option C, Cholas. Direct democracy in olden times existed, option C, in the city-state of ancient Greece. Ancient Greece. Eighth one, from which language was the term democracy derived? That is option A, Greek. Ninth one, in democracy the final authority rests with, option B, the people. Tenth one, which one of the country has presidential form of government? That is option D, USA. The largest democratic country in the world is option B, India. The 12th, ascertain and reason. 12th answer is A option. Both A and R are true and R explains A. That is the answer for that ascertain and reason. Then the 13, ascertain and reason, 13th one, for that also A option. Both A and R are true and R explains A. Then the meaning of franchise, 14th one, right to vote. Right to vote. Right to vote. Then 15th one, the grand universal franchise creates social equality, option A, social equality. Prime Minister of India is appointed by President, option D. 17th one, the President of India can nominate 12 members to Rajya Sabha, that is option C. The first general election after independence held, option B, 1951 to 52. Okay, these are all the one words I marked. Remaining fill in the blanks and the answer in detail we'll see later. Okay, these days you study all these answers what all I have given. Thank you.